and sit back and enjoy tonight's show, and it gives me the greatest pleasure to introduce you to tonight's compere. It's the man from the council, Steve Evans.
Well, thanks for coming, and may I say, letting me on this stage with a microphone is definitely like giving a kid matches. But before we start, please, a round of applause for Shirley Ray, who's worked so hard in putting this competition together. She does every year, and once again having faith in me. So again, welcome. Welcome to the IBM Shield Competition 2013 here in Buxton, Derbyshire. Buxton, a landlocked convention venue that's still closer to the sea than the theatre complex in Southport. We were going there for years, never saw it once. Never once did I unpack that bucket and spade. A seaside with a beach big enough to have an air show on it. It's not right at all. Buxton, of course, is a spa town. So when Septina, my wife, and I arrived on Tuesday, I said, I'm going exploring. I'm off to find the spa. She said, brilliant. If you find it, can you bring me back a bottle of milk? I don't think she got it, to be honest. Last year, of course, we all gathered in Great Yarmouth, once we'd worked out how to get there. Wasn't it a long way? All week people were turning up early for events because they'd put their watches forward. All year friends were saying to me, Yarmouth, you don't want to go there, which was disappointing because they lived there. And then we got there, of course, and it was lovely. It suited me fine, because it's got the one thing that the beautiful Buxton doesn't have, and that is shops that sell tat. Here, all they seem to have is estate agents that sell houses you'd need to sell Wolverhampton to buy. But we loved Great Yarmouth when we got there. I particularly like the people, and specifically, can someone get a drink of water? One of our front of house colleagues, we have someone who's coughing, and if you can get them a drink of water, and I do understand there's corky, so £8.50, and it'll be half as expensive as the ice cream. I'm only guessing. The people were lovely in Great Yarmouth, weren't they? Especially the theatre staff, who couldn't do enough for us, but you'll remember that they watched our shows with the innocent eyes of lay people, and afterwards they recounted how they saw a man take 3 pieces of rope. They actually saw quite a few men take 3 pieces of rope, but you get the point. And this was ordinary rope. They know that, because the magician told them so. All of different lengths. And then, all of a sudden, they were the same length. Still 3 pieces. They could see that, because he counted it from hand to hand in a special way. It's only what I was told. And then, with a click of his wizardy fingers, their words, not mine, they were all different lengths again. A true miracle performed right between their eyes, whilst the magicians all around them simply nodded off. I'm getting off in a minute. Competition. So what did they tell us about Buxton? Oh, well, if you're going to bring the child, make sure it's got fresh batteries. Thanks. It might get a bit scared later, but don't worry. Just take the batteries out. They told us about Buxton that the hotels would be a bit expensive, didn't they? They said that, but to be honest, the cost of ours hasn't been a problem once we sold the car. I wasn't really bothered. Wasn't my car. No, apparently the Motability people, they're not happy with me at all. They were expecting it back after 3 years. Oh dear. Well, in less than a minute's time, folks, you are going to have the competition start. But there is, of course, a tradition that we all know. And that is the introduction of my dear friend, who is the person who is ever present on stage at the IBM conventions. And that's the gentleman who seems to have given me the Dambusters March as a new theme tune. Well, I'll work abroad a lot. Might get lost, mightn't it, really? But that person is, of course, the fantastic Mr. Dave Cass. Hi, Dave. How's it going, friend? He says brilliant. It's all according to what your definition of brilliant is, really. So, Dave, are you enjoying the convention? I am. We will be chatting, no doubt, because we all know something will happen at some point. And on that note, I would say now we start the competition. You know how it works, folks. You are uniquely placed to understand what is going on this stage. And the dynamic, the relationship, the contract between audience and performer is very simple. The more you give, the more the performer is able to give back. And with that in mind, I would invite you to give your very best IBM British Ring welcome to act number 1 in this year's Shield competition from Macau, which is just south of Manchester. That's the only one I'm going to do. DIY. That's number 1, DIY. Oh, I think I can leave it here. That'll be fine. So this is a competition, of course. Hello, welcome. Coming in, you've picked your perfect time to arrive when the Compere's on. So it's perfect. Because the acts, I'm sure they would have known and said something. But the Compere, it's never going to happen. Oh, you know, the dial has to be set to 0, you know. Now, this is a competition, of course, and you can't have a competition without judges. I say this every time that I do this, that the IBM prides itself on the quality of its judging panel, but I have to say, in all honesty, I think the Ring has excelled itself this year. We have the usual shed load, which last year was one more than we had acts. Yes, that could have worked better. We have 7, and I will be introducing them, but don't worry, I will be splitting up the introductions. Our first judge is someone who should have been with us last year, but they were struck down by a mystery illness. They've turned the house lights up so I can see you now through the spectacles. It's like a staring contest, isn't it, really? Who's going to blink first? It might be me. And he should have been with us last year, but as I said, was struck down by a mystery illness, from which I'm sure you'll all be pleased to hear that he is now fully recovered. This person is the past organiser of the annual Ring 85 convention on the island of Ireland, and the current chairman of the Ulster Society of Magicians, and that, of course, is the lovely Mr. James Hobart. Hello, James. It's lovely to see you here, Jim. Are you feeling great and fine? That is really important to us. I have more acts to introduce and more judges, of course, but this year slightly more acts than judges. And we start with act number 2 in this year's Shield competition. Thank you for the introduction you gave act number 1. Please keep the warmth going. As I say, welcome onto stage, Nick Barnes. Act number 2, Nick Barnes. There will be a small amount of moving about, and I have had a request, and I'm still here. Now, I don't normally do bits in between the acts, but this is a request. Now, if you put Steve Evans, Master Magician, in YouTube, you'll find nothing at all. What are the odds? But if you put fork bending in the 21st century, you'll find me doing this. Now, to deform metal, you require energy. Energy produces heat. I'll give this out to examine in a bit. And there's no heat at all. Also, it requires movement. Now, it'll only be contacted with the thumb and forefinger, so there'll be no movement at all. This will be done by all of your combined psychic energies. Trust me, I've spoken to Uri Geller. All you do is concentrate. And the more you see fork bend, the more it bends. If you see it bend, it will bend. You bend it. Now, it's definitely deformed. You can see that. But how about if it wasn't deformed? You bent it. So with the same collective mind, you can straighten it again. All you do is see it straight. And it will be straight. The straighter you see it, the straighter it is. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. The thing Uri Geller could never do. And it is quite simple. There we are. Fork with a hinge. On the fork with a hinge. And you're clapping it. Well, it's actually my exam piece for AIMC, so I hope Fergus was taking notes. That'll be interesting to discuss with the committee. So we have another judge. This is a person who my dad would describe as a Bobby Dazzler, which is a very good thing, by the way, just in case you were wondering, a very good thing. He is the originator of over 1,000 magical effects and the author of 300 magic books. He came to the Ring Convention the last time it was here, in 1956, working on the Supreme Stand with the wonderful Edwin Hooper. Something of an achievement when you consider that earlier today I heard him telling someone he'd only just turned 50. He's a big supporter of the IBM, having amongst many other things been the compiler of the British Ring Parade, published in the Linking Ring for 35 years, which he obviously started when he was 15. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Mr. Ian Adair. And now, on with the competition. Please welcome Act number 3. Keep the energy going for Grandpa Whiskers. Well, so, did you enjoy the micro marathon yesterday, yes? Yeah. Wasn't it good? One of the last, my hero, how he was, one of the last conversations we became mates. That's strange, that, isn't it, when a hero becomes your mate? And one of the last conversations we had was about his idea for the micro marathon. It was just before, he left us. And he said, I was talking to him about this, and it was the first year I got the job. He didn't know. And I said, they've got a Compere, Ali, for the stage competition this year. He went, there's a problem with that. He said, you've got to make sure that the Compere isn't as funny as the acts. And I went, oh, right. He said, who's comparing it? I said, I am. He said, oh, that's all right then. One of the last conversations I had with a hero. So, we have a new chair of judges this year because the standing one has retired after a number of years in the job. Before that, this person was the organiser of this competition. And he still hasn't been able to escape because this year we brought him back as a judge. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Assistant Executive Secretary of the British Ring, Mr. John Pulford. Still permanently grounded. Yes, well, the trouble that's caused me over the last 12 months. It's a bit of an in-joke, folks. If you weren't at Great Yarmouth, basically, there was an incident. James wasn't able to come here, so we had a standing judge. And I can't go into details for legal reasons. But let's just say I was given information using words I didn't understand by that man that involved his mom. Hence, he is still permanently grounded. But we will be chatting with him later, I'm sure. This next judge is from the real world. I know, other than theatre staff, I wasn't even aware we let them in. No. A lay judge, no less. But this lay judge is no ordinary lay person. They are a member of the British Ring. They have been to many, many conventions over the years and are very well known in our world. This person has worked extremely hard and continues to do so whilst they're here as the registration officer, whose job it is to get magicians to hand over money. And now, because of that, as a party piece, they are able to get a stone and get blood from it. And that, of course, is our registration officer, Jill Pratt. This next judge is a truly superb performer, as you'd have seen from last night's Gala of Youth. I mentioned that to Tim Shoesmith earlier, and he said, when you tell the audience, try not to sound quite so surprised. So sorry about that. He is truly an award-winning magician, and not just someone who puts it on their business cards. That can happen, apparently. Who knew? He is someone who's just been at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where he performed his stage show, Nothing Up My Sleeve, to rave reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, the person who you saw compare quite superbly last night, Mr. Paul de Beck. Lovely job, my friend. May I say, I'm wearing the grey suit to look just as sharp as your good self. No, I do know, I have got a mirror in the dressing room. So, on with the show. Please give your best IBM welcome to act number 4, Edward Hilson. So, one more act and then you get your interval. Back by popular demand is the conventioneers. You all right? You're a toddler, aren't you? So if you want anything at all, let me know, because we've got lots of stuff backstage. It's like a play area. It's called props. There's lots of places to hide. I've said enough. So back by popular demand is the conventioneers joke competition. Well, it is. All year people have been contacting me, sending me new jokes. New to them, anyway. Some of them are very topical. I mean, I remember the 70s. And some people have also asked, you know, why I haven't used their jokes in previous years. And it's not always because they're offensive or possibly illegal. Now, sometimes they're just rubbish. There is another group of jokes, and those are the ones that we simply didn't have time to tell, and it is those we will be featuring this year. So it's possible the winner may not be here, but we will cover that. Now, the 2 words you need to know if you haven't seen how this works before, if you like a joke, and it works on the principle that at least one person will laugh at every joke, normally the person who sent it in. If you like a joke, the word is final. We work that out as we go along, and if you don't like a joke, the word is bin. Now, bin and final. Now, we have a tradition of asking a dear friend to start the joke competition by reading out the first couple of jokes. This year is no exception, but this person, by their own admission, ladies and gentlemen, is not very good at telling jokes. He's not good at reading them out, and to be perfectly honest, he's not very good at understanding humour at all. He's just not a funny person, but I said to him that it's okay. is amongst friends, which is all of you, and I know you will treat him kindly. So, Dave.
Yeah.
Have you got your jokes?
Yep.
Okay. Number one, and it's guaranteed to be in the lead, Dave.
I bought some rocket salad yesterday, but it went off before I could eat it.
At the moment, no joke's winning. That's never happened before. Did I make a false promise to a dear friend? Please don't start booing. People backstage will think it's me. That's not good. Dave, do you have another one?
Yep.
Shall I interject very quickly? I'll interject very quickly to see if we can get sort of a level, and then you jump in very quick after that, right? So it's a follow-on effect, right? Now, I'm not saying these are good. These are sent in by all of you, but they are sent in with good faith. What's got 4 legs is green, fuzzy, and if it fell from a tree, would kill you. Pool table. Oh, I think it's going to be a long evening. Well, David.
Quiet tennis. Quiet tennis. It's like normal tennis without the racket.
And on that bombshell.
I have another one.
No, you don't. I've got a green light. What you actually have is an act. It's the last act of the first half. Thank you for the reception you've given for the 4 that have preceded. Act number 5, Atmosphere. So that was the last act of the first half. There will now be an interval, long enough for you all to be able to go to the one toilet. So I shall see you Tuesday. See you in about 15 minutes. Dave will serenade you with various versions of my new encore music. World War II Revisited. Enjoy the interval. I shall see you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the stage your compere, Steve Evans.
Welcome back. Did you all manage to navigate the toilet? Or did you work out that going across the road and blagging you had a disability was an easier method? I've just been checking my eBay, and my sale of forks with a hinge is going through the roof. How can that be? So, welcome back to the second half. My phone is now off, and because you've had an interval, can I respectfully remind you to make sure your phones are off or on silent? For me, to be perfectly honest, folks, you can leave them on, for me. And if they ring, please give them me to answer. And I can guarantee that person will simply never phone you again. So it's a service. So we have 2 judges. Still to introduce, and then it will be on with the show. The Davenport family are famous throughout the world of magic. My family isn't even famous in our house. Being a member of this family and a director of Davenport's for 33 years, this next judge is equally renowned in his own right. He's the acclaimed author of the Davenport story, now contained in 3 volumes, and for which last year in Las Vegas he received the Milburn Christopher Award for Literature, making him only the 2nd Brit to receive it. He's someone who you simply all know. He has lectured to magic audiences all over the world, and tomorrow I'm pleased to say he'll be doing the same for us when he presents the Geoffrey Atkins Memorial Lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, Fergus Rudd. And so, with the next act less than a minute away, we come to our final judge, as you all breathe a collective sigh of relief. Hasn't there been a lot? This is our customary VIP. He's been a member of the IBM for 36 years, and he comes from Springfield, which is where the Simpsons live. I've just won a bet with Tim Shoesmith. He said, IBM audience, Simpsons, I think not. Well, one begs to differ. There, he's an attorney in law, but in the world of entertainment, he's also a founding member of the MDoc band, who some of you may never have heard of, but believe me, are very big in Missouri. That sounded a bit sarcastic, didn't it? That's unlike me. Sorry about that, Bill. And may I say, I don't know what the legal definition is in America, but this is what they call stalking. Because I just know far too much. And may I say, lovely mandolin playing on Go Your Own Way, my friend. Yes, worried now, I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed guest, a superb performer of both stage and close-up. He does a very nice cut in the aces. So if you get a chance to ask, approach him. We have something in common, this person and I, because when you saw him on this stage, saying a few words, and they were lovely words. He started by standing tall and saying, I'm not from these parts. I know what you mean, mate. To be perfectly honest, I'm not from these parts either. In fact, I'm never from these parts because I come from Wolverhampton and there's no work there. Ladies and gentlemen, what's it like to always have an accent? Yeah, be me. Where I live, this is posh. People might call my kids the posh kids. Posh kids. Ladies and gentlemen, the International President of the IBM, Mr. Bill Evans. And Dave kicked in with the theme tune to The Simpsons. It's all going mad. As I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome onto stage, act number 6, the first act of the second half, The Great Aziz. Yes, I know, so did I. Final. So, here we go. Joke competition. Bear with me a second. Oh, I'm sacked. I'm back in the room. Let me make sure I don't get in your way, Graham. Shall I go and sit down somewhere? Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear to be very bright until you hear them speak. Is it beating Super Dave? No, Dave, you're still in the lead, my friend, because you've got a friend, and he's in the audience. I saw this man and woman wrapped in a barcode. I said, are you two an item? Yes, all right. Don't take it personally. They're just your jokes. Well, this is a long one, but I'll speed it up. A man's in a cafe and he sees two men pull up outside in a van. One gets out and starts digging a hole. When he's finished, the other one gets out and fills it in again. These are council employees, ladies and gentlemen. This pattern is continued down the street. After a while, the man in the cafe goes out and speaks to the man digging the holes. Excuse me, he says, I've been watching the two of you. You dig a hole and your mate immediately fills it in again. Oh, I can explain that, says the hole digger. You see, normally there are 3 of us, but the council made one of us redundant, and he's the bloke who used to plant the trees. Dave's gutted. He's always wanted something inflatable and it's just been taken away. I believe a man called Bert Slater's got a sheet from last year. You had to be there. A man entered a local newspaper's... Now this I like. I'm not saying it's going to win in the lead, but it's all right. A man entered a local newspaper's pun contest. He sent in 10 different puns in the hope at least one of the puns would win. Unfortunately, no pun intended. Yes, right, it's in the pocket, but it's good fun. It was all right. Now, this is topical. Doesn't automatically mean it funny, but I do mean topical for this decade, which is good compared with some of them which we've discussed previously. You've got to feel sorry for the people of Gibraltar. They really are stuck between a rock and a hard-up place. But it's... the council workmen are still winning, I think. Yeah, the council workmen are still winning. I sent my girlfriend a huge pile of snow. I rang her up and said, "Did you get my drift?" All right, all right. You do take some of these personally, don't you? So we know what's winning. The council workmen are winning. As I say, please keep your wonderful, wonderful welcomes going for Act number 7 in this year's Shield competition. Malcolm Bromwich. Act number 7, Malcolm Bromwich. Now you will have noticed that the red light went out. So I'm getting, I don't know, I've never done this before, but bear with me while I secretly confer with Shirley. So if you could all just close your eyes. I'm sorry we can't return your paintings. He honestly thinks I do this as community service. Oh, somebody's just gone off. Oh, another one sold. I thought you were turning your phones off. Right. Okay. Isn't it sad that we now live in a society where pizza can get to your house quicker than the police? It's still not winning. That was to announce that the last act, number 7, Malcolm Bromwich, ran over time. And the rules that were explained to you earlier, meaning that unfortunately he will be removed from the scoring process. I could have said disqualified. Too harsh. Now, this doesn't work in 2013. This is politically incorrect. I understand that. But from my dad's time, this would simply be social comment. So, look upon it as a history lesson. A man walks into the living room where his wife is sitting and says, "Put your coat on, I'm going down the pub." She says, "Oh, am I coming with you?" He says, "No, I'm turning the heating off." Now, my dad would have just seen that as energy-saving advice. But not today. It's in the pocket. How do you get a sweet 80-year-old lady to use foul and abusive language? Get another one to shout bingo. The men from the council have just bitten the dust as bingo lady storms into the lead. I'm a horse racing commentator. A man says, "Doctor, I can't stop singing the green, green grass of home." The doctor replies, "That sounds like Tom Jones syndrome." "Is it common?" asked the man. "Well," replied the doctor, "it's not unusual." "It's all right. I know it's old. So was the person who sent it in. Don't get touchy." So it is now time. Bin, thank you for that. Thanks a lot. As we now say, please welcome onto stage, act number 8, Oliver Table. Act number 8, Oliver Table. Once bitten, I was ready just in case. I've got to be caught twice. So let's see, my makeup artist, I know you'll be meeting her shortly, I have a makeup artist, I am so high maintenance, is currently winning the joke competition. There is one person I want to say thank you to in the process of the judging, and that is our new chair of judges. He will have 7 wonderful people to work with later, who all will be of one mind. They won't give him any contentious decisions to pass on, I'm sure. And that, of course, is the current president of the Modern Mystic League, Brian Led. So let's see if my makeup artist, yes, I'm not normally this beautiful. Moving on, yes. Following the success, not sure about this one. I am not sure about this one. Following the success of Man of Steel, the Superman film, in 2014, the same team are to release a film featuring Supergirl. The advertising strapline will be, is it a bird? Yes. It's in the bib pocket, it's okay. So, I think that means that the person you're going to be meeting as part of my entourage, as part of the thank yous, which comes after this act, has won the joke competition. I think the bingo lady has it. So, please welcome onto stage your penultimate act. Thank you for playing your part. I hope the acts have played theirs. As I say, welcome onto stage to your best welcome. Act number 9 in this year's Shield competition, La Home Magique. Act number 9, La Home Magique. Obviously, you were all aware of the light issue. Shirley will do what she did before, but I think it's safe to say that unfortunately, once again, the judging process will be withdrawn from that act. So, I'm going to do something that I probably shouldn't do. Can we give him a round of applause? I was mindful of not wanting to break rules or anything. So it is very important at an event like this that we are able to say thank you. Thank you to people who work very hard all through the convention to make it happen. This is Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Graham, who is like a surrogate son, really, because his family have disowned him. He is one of our 2 house stage crew. The other one is, well, there will be a personnel change next year, possibly with Graham, because he is, as you know, only here with kind permission of his mom. But the other one will be the president. So please, a round of applause for Mr. Neil Roberts. So, yes, now I shall mention this very briefly. There are people who may not be aware of my particular circumstances. Let's say they might be 1 or 2 of the acts backstage. So the fact that I carry with me my own personal support team, that is 2 of the best magicians in the country, one of which is employed purely to carry me pop, might seem a bit odd, to be perfectly honest. I also have a makeup artist, and it's the makeup artist who's won the competition. So she's going to be the first person I asked to actually come out and take your warm round of applause. I'm going to invite all 3 of my dear friends, and the first one is the winner of the joke competition. I'm not going to be so bold as to say that we're going to present the trophy tomorrow, because it is not part of the formal process and it is only an inflatable trophy. But I've got this friend, and he's called Brian. Brian Miller his name is, and he's the nicest man in the world. And if anyone could make that happen, it would be him. So no pressure then, Brian, but joking apart, it is a formal process tomorrow, and if it doesn't happen, it will happen at the close-up show on the Saturday. I have a green light, but I'm going to indulge by just having very quickly 3 people come through this curtain. And that is the winner of the joke competition, Mandy Fletcher. She's been applying my makeup and making sure I have absolutely no blemishes. Mr. Richard Pinner. And the man who simply understands comedy very well but chooses not to display it, Tim Shoesmith. He wasn't happy with that. You couldn't see him mouth. But I just wanted to do this, a small piece of self-indulgence. Mandy deals with all blemishes. Am I fine? You need to give him a bit. I think that's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, my dearest friends, thank you. Thank you for allowing that indulgence. Thank you for your support for myself and for all of the acts during the show. It now brings us to the final act of this year's Shield competition, Act number 10. Please welcome onto stage, Slightly Unusual. So there is one thank you before I all let you go. And that, of course, is the traditional thank you for the house staff. The house sound, techies backstage, a round of applause for them all. And one final thank you for the front of house staff. The front of house staff here are taken from a pool of 200 volunteers. I obviously travel venues and do different things, but you must say, they're wonderful, aren't they? Aren't they really, really good? I shall see you again tomorrow. Support Team Willing for the awards ceremony. But for now, it just leaves me to say goodbye with this simple thought. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. But for tonight, that's all from me. My name's Steve Evans, unless you're from Wolverhampton Tax Office, then it's Elizabeth Kent. Good night, and God bless. Cast, ladies and gentlemen, with my new theme tune. Oh, I've got a gap.